Morning, YouTube. How to make the best roast beef. I used to work in the meat department sometimes when I was in the grocery business before college in the 70s and 80s, and people would come in with these top rounds, sometimes that big round, and the thing was great, and it was as dry as it could be, and you really wouldn't recognize it if you saw it laying on the counter as a roast beef. And they'd ask to run it through the slicer, and we'd run it through the slicer, and the hand slicer there, and it would come out in pieces, and you couldn't slice it thin because there was no juice left in it. So this is the way to do it if you want a nice juicy roast beef. And I can talk while I start. What I got here is some garlic, which I pre-chopped. These happen to be 4 cloves of varying sizes, so about that much, and about that much onion. And you don't really have to measure any of this. I mean, I do eye rounds whenever they're on sale. I buy the whole eye and have it cut into 3 pieces because it's just me and Donna. And then we usually get 1 dinner out of it and enough for roast beef sandwich on a bagel. So this one, I don't know, this is in the 2-pound range. I'll say something about how to figure them out. This is going to go in the oven for about 1 hour and 15 minutes, and then it's going to rest for 15 when it comes out. I don't know how we get the best view of this puppy, but here we go. And what you do here is take the knife. This one's still pretty frozen, which is okay because I'll just let it sit out there. Take the knife and then stick these little pieces of garlic into the meat. Now, somebody who I won't mention, let me try to get my hand out of the way. Somebody who I won't mention saw me doing this once, and he says, "You're not supposed to stick a knife into a roast, into beef." And well, that's kind of true. Once it starts to cook, or once it's cooked, this is the last thing. Here's a big, almost, well, that's 2 pieces. Once it starts to cook, or once it's already half cooked or all the way cooked, you do not want to stick a knife in it, because assuming it's all the way cooked already, the first slice will have some juice left in it if you cut it right away when it comes out of the oven, and the juice will just run out, and you'll see it in the pan. And if you're watching this because you're wondering why your roasts don't come out good, you've already seen it. The pan is full of presumably red or brown juice, and your roast has no juice left. So this is okay. What I'm doing here now is absolutely the perfect thing to do. This isn't something I learned in the meat department. This is I used to hang out in Phoenicia with a guy named Larry Palmer, and his family owned the Plank Road Kitchen. And this is the way they did it down there, and it was delicious. And you'll see it. I'll come back. I always do what I call the kitchen chores in the morning, because in the afternoon I don't really have time. I just want to stick it in the oven or whatever to have dinner ready on time. So I do as much prep work as possible. I'm going to have potato salad with it tonight for me, and Donna will have salad. I'll have, since it's not that large, I used to have it with potato, mashed potato, and a vegetable, but I'll have it on a bagel tonight, and hopefully get more than one bagel sandwich out of it. In a minute I'll show you the thermometer. The same goes for those thermometers that look like forks, where people take them and stab it into the meat before the meat is done. You don't want to do that. If you have to use a thermometer, which once you have practice you don't. I don't use a thermometer. This will go in for 1 hour and 15. And then Donna will get the end, and I'll have to put it in the frying pan for her anyway, because she doesn't see what I call juice. She calls blood. Ow, it's bloody. I'm getting blood in my salad. We were in the haircutter place the beginning of February when I got my 3-month haircut. She said, "Well, that's the au jus. That's the good part. That's the juice. That's the..." But Donna, even though she's a farm girl and they used to butcher their own pigs and whatever. She just can't get into the juice. So I'm going to have to put hers. I like it pink. I don't really want it red. Red is a little on the raw side and it's too mushy. When you get it pink, then it slices very well. It looks very nice and tastes absolutely delicious. So here's the last of the garlic. You're probably thinking, God, he's mutilating it, but you'll see tonight when it comes out of the oven. I'll come back and splice the rest of the video together. That it's going to be absolutely perfect. It always is. I still have a few more of these in the freezer, even though meat prices have gone crazy. The one time, this is the onion now, the one time they had them on sale at Price Chopper, which is usually upscale higher price, for $1.99 a pound, which is kind of the price you'd pay for boneless chicken breast or something. I mean, that was really incredible. So I think I bought 3 whole eye round. This has a little bit of a hole down the middle. Naturally came that way, so we'll stick an extra piece in there. And like I say, this is still pretty frozen. I took it out of the freezer and put it in the refrigerator overnight, and so it makes it kind of easy to work with it. It's not too mushy. I told the octopus joke on the other video, and I never got around to the punchline, so I'm not going to start that again, but I guess I could tell you what the punchline was in case you watched that one too, but we won't go there. I'm almost done here. Get these onions in there. Sorry, this is boring, but as I said once before, I don't like when people edit the hell out of their videos. I want to see, if you're going to stuff something into a roast like this, I want to see how long it takes. I don't want you to tell me, well, here's a few minutes later and it's all done. I want to know how long it takes a real person to do the real job, and that's why I do some of these videos, because I don't like the way the professionals, I'm sure there's probably 1,000 videos on YouTube about how to cook a roast beef, but what I don't like on that either is when they tell you to use all these ingredients that people don't have and all this fancy stuff. This is basically easy and delicious. That's the way we do it. We're almost finished here. Now, I was going to show you before I finish putting this in the pan. I said a few words about the thermometer. If you have to use a thermometer for some reason, don't use one of those fork-looking things that sticks in there. Get something like this. They're not that expensive, I don't think. This one's rather old, but the probe goes in the meat once. You only have to stab it once. And you do the stabbing before you put it in the oven. And then it's got this metal, just making sure you're on the same thing as I am. You have this metal cable, and that connects. I keep the battery out of this because I don't want it going on by accident and getting dead. And then it's a very simple thing with on and off, and you can set the temperature to cook by, or you can set the time. And then this thing plugs into the thermometer. It has a magnet on the back even, so you can stick it to the back of the stove or whatever, and then this just hangs out the oven door with the meat on this end and this end outside the oven, and you find out when your meat's done. And like I say, I'm not using it. That's going in there for an hour and 15 because once you do these things a few times, you kind of know from looking at it how long it's going to take to get pink. And of course, if you want it more than pink, then you'll leave it in there a little longer. But I would go with the thermometer if you're new to doing it, because like I say, you have to let it rest 10 to 15 minutes before you cut into it. Otherwise, all the juice is going to come out. So you can't really experiment. You have to know when it's done. So if you have any doubts and you do want to experiment and it comes out too rare, you can put it in a frying pan, a real hot frying pan, cast iron or stainless steel. Heat the pan first and then put the meat in it, and you'll be alright. But of course, if you overcook it, you're finished. You get one of those gray things that looks like crap, like a sole of a shoe, and then you're finished. So better undercook it than overcook it if you don't have a thermometer. If you do have a thermometer, this is boneless. If you're cooking a roast with a bone in it, just make sure that the thermometer doesn't hit the bone. If I was going to do this one, I'd put it right in the middle of this section, the fattest section, and then the outsides will be done, and the middle will still be pink depending on what you set the temperature for. So that's that far. This is all personal choice. Whatever you like to put on, put on. This happens to be paprika. And I like partly the coloring you get from that. And then, since we have garlic in there already, we don't need to put garlic. Otherwise I would put garlic powder. A little bit of sage. Same reason, just for color and crispness. Anything you're going to put on there has to go on before the olive oil. Little EVOO, extra virgin olive oil. And this is going to kind of like create a seal. So this has to be the last thing to go on, because if you put the paprika or anything else on after this, it would just be stuck on the outside. Lost this piece of onion out of there. There's a piece of meat. And then, can't quite say it looks good enough to eat already, but it's certainly getting there. I'll finish washing my hands later. They're still greasy from the olive oil. And I put this here. Let's put the water in first. Put a little bit of water in the bottom. Not too much that it spills out when you're trying to move the pan, but about that much. And then put the roast up here. And the water does two things. First, it creates a little steam, as if you were cooking bread or something. You get this steam, and you don't get all the sizzle and the grease shooting all over the oven. And the second thing it does is keeping the pan drippings from. You wouldn't do that obviously if you were going to use it for gravy, but I never make gravy because Donna doesn't eat it, and I'm not going to put gravy on potato salad, so don't need it. So it helps it cook, and even cooking and without the grease splashing around, and it also keeps the pan drippings from sticking to the bottom of the pan, so there'll be a coating there, especially if the water dries up, but you take a sponge and it washes right out. I think that's all I need to mention for now. It's 10 o'clock in the morning, so this will go in the oven at 3:30. We eat at 5. It'll go in at 3:30, at 3:50, and it'll stay in there till about 4:45, and then I'll get the rest of the salad made and potato salad on the plate, and then 5 o'clock she'll be ready to slice, and I'll bring you back then to show you what the inside looks like. Meantime, have a good day. Okay, welcome back. It is dinner time. This thing's been resting for 10 minutes. It's getting a little bit dark in here. Fortunately, it's still light out. I think we can see a trace of sun up there on the hill. But otherwise, it's getting dark, so I'll try to set this up where you can see the slicing. Look at that. Beautifully brown, the olive oil and the and the seasonings. Okay. First couple of slices from the skinny end will be for Donna. Like I say, it's been sitting for 10 minutes, so it's cool enough to touch. And here we go. I'm going to turn this thing here so that my knife goes down between the and here you can see a piece of that garlic or onion. It will be absolutely delicious. Put that in the pan face down for her, and there's another one. You can see the garlic and onion. This actually almost, it looks a little past pink, but our oven doesn't work well these days. That little thing, that electrical thing that starts the on and off, is not working well. So when I came out here a half hour after it was in, the oven was almost cold. So can't waste that garlic. You see how the fat collected down there under the water, and it's not stuck to the pan. So she doesn't like to be photographed, but she's going to have to get called out here and take a look if there's enough in the pan. And I also make excellent potato salad too, which is hard to screw that up, so I won't go into it. If you have any questions about potatoes, 20 minutes boil them for the right consistency, the right amount of crunch, and not too soggy that it makes potato soup. I have in this one celery because I had some left, and onion, a little bit of that mustard with the honey mustard, and some mayonnaise, and that's about it. Salt on it. And, anyway, I'll put my bagel down, and then I'll cut a slice for my sandwich, and I won't subject you to the trauma of watching me eat. So live cheap and stay hungry, and shop at Aldi's and get the best deals on groceries, and have a good night.